All right, friends, we're back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. It's Location Weekly. It's episode number 648, and we're recording on December the 5th. Yes, it is now December. The final home stretch is here to the end of the year. The days are still getting longer. We're not on the other side yet, but, we got stories for you. What's going on, Aubriana? How are you?
I'm good, over here. Feel like I'm fighting colds, fighting holiday traffic, and yeah, just looking forward to some family time again at the end of the year. Holidays are getting kicked off. Hanukkah's about to start. Then you got Christmas, New Year's, all the stuff, all the things.
All the
Kwanzaa,
things.
all of it. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, also fighting a cold. Yeah, it's busy. A lot of planning for next year. The conferences in January with CES and NRF kind of back to back there. So trying to get meetings, scheduled. So if anyone listening is going to CES or NRF, I will be there. Reach out. Would love to meet with you. Talk about how to get involved in the LBMA or partnerships, whatever makes sense. Aubriana will be, I'm sure, around during NRF in New York, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I will be here, yes.
We might see you. So yeah. Yeah, so lots happening. Yeah, all right. Well, we've got four stories for you. Let's jump into it, and I'll let Aubriana kick us off.
All right, so we'll kick it off with a partnership announcement. We've got DoubleVerify. Most of you know them as the fraud prevention tool. And advertising has partnered with a French company called Locala. And Locala focuses on serving real-time location-based advertising. But now they're doing this exclusive partnership. I'm not sure what's exclusive about it, but I like that word. And basically, Locale is going to benefit from DoubleVerify's solutions, a few of them. One, they have something called their authentic attention measurement solution. So, how attentive is your, ad? How much attention is it getting? And then you've got an authentic ad features that are measuring the media quality, and then their fraud lab, right? So kind of three key solutions that they're going to be benefiting on, passing that on to their advertisers that work with Locala in France. So they are, really wanting to make sure that their inventory is protected. Nobody wants to be serving terrible inventory or putting your ads where humans are not seeing it. And so they also want to optimize things for attention. So some of the things that they're touting is going to provide advanced measurement tools. So they'll be able to analyze each impression in real time and then identify more than 50 data points that are relating to the intensity of the exposure of the digital ad, and also spotting consumer engagement to the ad and the device. I think that's actually really important to an extent, because I think so much of our time, we have just gotten really good at skipping over advertising, not reading it, not being engaged with it at all. Or you've got, some advertising and you've got bots. And so making sure that you're able to do all that. So really enabling the Locala team to make sure that those post-bid measurements, such as visibility and brand safety, are getting passed on to their customers. So all in all, I think this is a viable partnership. I think fraud prevention is super important. As advertising expands, even in CTV, fraudsters are getting smarter and trying to figure out what else they can block. And I always wonder why. Why is that of interest to you, to block advertising and to consume it with a bot? I don't know. Maybe somebody can come and explain that to me. But, I think that brand safety, suitability, context, all those things really matter to advertisers more now than ever. We hear lots of talks about people pulling advertising from different platforms that maybe they don't deem brand safe, or making sure that they're not running next to news. I don't know, that's also, a questionable practice as well. But there's just certain practices that advertisers want to take part in and not want to take part in. And so I think providing a platform and the ability for them to do that, as well as localized advertising, is really important. So now being able to like detect and analyze those new types of fraud and spot those bad actors. I think this is a solid partnership. DoubleVerify, Locala.
Yeah, I think this is a very solid partnership. It's interesting because at our recent Retail Loco conference in Atlanta, just a month and a bit ago now, one of the topics that came up, from the panel discussions and things was around, this idea of, advertising and its validity now, and how do we, sort of prevent fraud and, sort of the whole issue of fake data and, from a targeting point of view and just duplicates and all this kind of stuff, and the effort that it takes to cleanse and check and verify that all this is good and solid data that we're working with to begin with. And then on the other side, to make sure that it's actually being delivered and viewed, by humans and these kinds of things. So I think this is an important topic. I think this is a really solid partnership, to echo what you've already said. I think maybe we should even have a conversation with Locala and DoubleVerify about, potentially speaking at the next Retail Loco event about this, because I think it's a very important topic out there that people are concerned about, right? And so I like how they've kind of teamed up around this. I guess the only thing I didn't glean from the story is this partnership only in Europe, or is this sort of global, like in here in North America and other places as well?
I think my guess is that the exclusive part is that it's exclusive in France, but
right. Okay.
That's my best.
So yeah, if you're listening from either Locala or DoubleVerify, reach out to us. We'd love to get just a little more clarity around that. And congrats on a solid partnership here. Okay, on to our next story now. So we're going to talk about Amazon, and obviously at this time of year, we've just come through American Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the lead up to Christmas and all these holidays and all the shopping that's going on. So apparently on Cyber Monday, they projected 71 million consumers, shopping online on Amazon, one of the busiest days for them of the year. And so, kind of related to this story today, this is all about, once those orders have been made, how do you get those things to people quickly in the shortest time possible to fulfill those order requests? And I read another article, I guess it was about a week and a half ago, saying that Amazon has now surpassed both FedEx and UPS as the largest delivery company in North America now. Maybe worldwide, I don't know, but like that is saying something right there, like that they are now bigger than FedEx and UPS, in terms of the number of packages that they're delivering, and so on. And so so they're aiming for this sort of, they're claiming that they have the quickest delivery time yet, saying that packages are being prepared for dispatch within 11 minutes of an order placement at their same day facilities. That pace is an hour faster than next day or 2-day centers that are out there. So that's pretty crazy. And how are they doing this? They're doing this using AI technology to analyze and plot optimal delivery routes, adapting real-time traffic and weather conditions. They also use the AI to forecast daily demand for over 400 million products. And they're able to kind of predict where this demand is going to happen all over the world. And all of this ultimately is about, better customer service, faster delivery, and optimize, routes. So I think this is super interesting in how they're approaching this. Their new system, which is called Sequoia, helps the company identify and store inventory 75% faster, while reducing order processing time by 25%. And this was all in place for Cyber Monday. So, I think that, like, to me, this is a very, we talk about, there's lots of stories about AI right now and different kind of bots and engines out there. And, some of those stories are negative, but I think this is a very positive use case of AI technology in terms of, performance optimization and, back of office, sort of use cases of this technology that aren't really touching the consumer directly. but ultimately optimizing the performance and the customer service experience for the consumer. So I like this. I think it's a great, sort of use case there, and it just speaks to, how big of a company they are in terms of the power of what they can do, and the number of people that they can impact, when they apply technology like this. So I love it.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent application of AI technology. There are a lot of moving parts. I mean, no pun intended, but like, and a lot of, I think, logistics to figure out when it comes to delivery, weather, carriers, all of those different things. And so getting it right, I think, is really important this time of year. And I was just having this like thought process of there's a certain electronics manufacturer that just notoriously works with a really bad third-party delivery system, right? And it's like every time it's not them, but their delivery partner is just notorious for never delivering on time. It's always a constant headache. Like everything I've ever ordered, the product is wonderful, the delivery is terrible experience. And so I'm like, how could that be better? I was going through this whole thought process. There has to be an opportunity here for another company to step in and do this in a better way, in a more organized way. And so it's like, yes, it is being done. Amazon, of course, is leading the forefront here with the technology and applying it to all of their delivery, which obviously one of the largest deliverers in the world. And so I think this is just a good application. It's something that I believe a lot of other companies should look at and follow suit, because customer service is like, you can have a great experience with a specific product. You can have a great experience with the actual order. But, if you're getting something a month late, or things are getting lost, or things are taking longer than expected, that's kind of where that last end falls short. When you look at those like Amazon reviews, it's like, my order didn't come for a month, or, and you're like, that has nothing to do with the product review, like review the product. But it really, they tie, we tie it together. We stitch all that together. So I think this is like so important, and it's not sexy, but you know what? It's like something that we all care about, and we want things when they say they're going to be there. So I like this.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I looked up the other story here that I was referring to. So apparently, Amazon's on track right now to deliver 5.9 billion packages this year, in contrast to UPS at 5.3 and FedEx at 3.05 billion. So there you go.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a lot of packages, people.
It is. I'm only responsible for like a couple percent of that.
All right, cool.
All right, so on to our next story. Another partnership slash launch, a company called Qulu that is based here in New York. And Qulu is they call themselves a cultural AI company, decoding and predicting consumer tastes across the globe. Kind of like that tagline. It's good. It's good. Well, they have launched what they call brand affinities now on the Snowflake marketplace. Say that 10 times fast. So Snowflake, a lot of you know of them as a data clean room. They also have a data marketplace. And they now have their capabilities ready to use theirs. So joint customers can now use Qulu's cultural AI capabilities in addition to their taste and preference insights. So what does that mean? I think this is like really interesting because it's informing and optimizing decisions, business decisions specifically, and areas within retail strategies to be made. So they could think about product distribution. We just talked about this, right? Location specific marketing initiatives and opportunities, customer personalization. There's a lot of different things they could utilize here with this. So they obviously are announcing this, I think just saying like, hey, how can we optimize these things? There wasn't a lot in the article that talks about how Qulu, what their data is based upon, or how their AI, to me, AI is AI, like it's going to work, but it's really about what is the data that it's based on, right? What are the inferences and things that are allowing you to make these propensity scores or lookalike models or audiences and segments. So I would love to hear a little bit more there, but I think that, you know, really having like demand forecasting, brand affinities by store location, all of that stuff's really cool, because when you think about the differences between, you know, a New York location store and perhaps a South Carolina store and a California store, you're going to have some differences, not only from a weather perspective, but from a cultural perspective, and what's going to sell and what's interesting and what's important. So I think that having these like preferences by location is actually a really cool offering. I like that they're using, you know, Snowflake to do that. I think any marketplace really works, but just being able to utilize that third party gives you a little bit more of a reach rather than going direct a lot of times. So I think it's a good business strategy as well. And I don't know a lot about Kulu, so it's definitely one that I am interested to dive into. They look like a pretty small company here in New York, like 50 people, but it's one that I'm going to dive into. So if you're listening and you know someone at Kulu, you are at Kulu, we'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing, and maybe like hear more about how you get this data, right? How did this idea come about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Not a big company, but obviously well capitalized. They've raised over $30 million from Elridge and AXA Venture Partners. You know, and they seem to be doing some interesting work. It's as I was listening to you, I was thinking about, you know, obviously at my startup at Ground Level Insights, you know, we have through our partnership with Unary, you know, personas, audience personas for ad targeting purposes. And I think one of the things that comes up often in those discussions is, you know, how do these personas differ regionally? Like, you know, what is it like for, you know, luxury retail shoppers in Texas versus that in California, you know, or up here in Toronto for that matter. And so I think it's interesting to kind of see, you know, the importance of location or store location specific, you know, sort of audience information or tastes as they call them here, which I like that word, by the way. I think it's great. And yeah, and you know, similarly, you know, we've got our stuff listed up on Trade Desk. You know, I think any marketplace here that you can kind of amplify your reach and audience, you know, and make your data available makes sense, right? So Snowflake's is a good and solid one there. And I think the you know, the one thing I always appreciate, like I love the Snowflake, you know, sort of premise anyways, just the whole idea of, you know, every Snowflake being unique, every taste being unique, every piece of data being unique. I think that's interesting to me. You know, just in terms of thinking, you know, through the sort of analogy of that. So yeah, I don't have a lot to add to this story. It sounds like, you know, they're on, you know, to a good track right now, especially when you're thinking about the privacy restrictions that we're all dealing with as a way to reach, you know, the right people, the right audience, you know, with your message. And maybe there's a partnership to be had between Kulu and, you know, the DoubleVerify Locala guys to make sure that if when you're targeting these people, then, you know, you're actually, you know, reaching them and, you know, it's being seen by the right audience. So don't know. Maybe. Okay. On to our final story now. So we're going to jump over to Home Depot. And one of the challenges that Home Depot has is, you know, they obviously are doing really well from a retail point of view. And if you've ever been to a Home Depot store, you know that it's this basically giant warehouse with super high ceilings. And they stack products like high on these shelves, like, you know, way above, you know, your head level. And you usually then have to come down with the, you know, the forklift or, you know, the picker or something to kind of bring something down as it's needed. And so because some of this stuff is up so high, it makes it difficult to read the labels or the barcodes or the QR codes on the packaging to know just what's up there and whether you need to bring it down or not. And so to address this, and this is more of an internal tool for store associates, for the employees that are working there, they you know, the associates already carry something called HD phones, which are these handheld devices and they have an app on there called Sidekick. And so what they've done is they've adapted the Sidekick app now to have and this hardware to have these high quality cameras on them, which then instructs the associates to take pictures of their overhead areas, at multiple points throughout the week or so on. Like there's an instruction as to what cadence to do that in throughout the day. And as they do so, it's basically using the Sidekick app is then using computer vision technology and machine learning to then digitize all this visual information, making it accessible. So you're able to just kind of look from within the app based on this sort of computer vision imagery to then know what's actually where, what shelf is it on, how high is it, what box is it stacked under, all that kind of stuff, which just makes it a lot easier, a lot faster, removes the friction, and they know exactly what's there, and it just allows them to have their associates spend more time with their customers, not like chasing around stuff, and wasting time, and B, just obviously speeding up their ability to sort of be able to source and pick that product off the shelf quickly and being more reliable. So again, not a lot here going on, but from a consumer point of view, but at the end of the day, like the other story, it's about improving the customer experience by making the associates job more efficient and more more reliable in terms of the data that they have access to. So again, I really like this story. I think it's a good use of computer vision technology in this case. We don't have to worry about privacy issues or facial recognition or any of this stuff that people are concerned about. We're using this to recognize products on a shelf and and ultimately improve customer experience.
Yeah. Well, now for customers, there's a separate app that helps you locate a store associate so that you can actually ask them to help you find something. I'm kidding. But that would be great. I think this is really helpful. Like there's times I think back, we've had some like really terrible flooding here in New York, just since I moved here. And I remember like rushing to Home Depot, trying to go to all the different ones, looking for this specific thing that we needed before they closed in like an hour. And it was really hard to like find exactly what we needed, or is there any in stock? Are there any above the shelf, where I can't see? So I like this. I think this is like a great tool that that can be useful for both associates and customers looking to find things. So.
Yeah, and just to add to what you said, though, there is a Home Depot customer-facing app. It's very great. They constantly improve on it. And one of the things I know that it does really well is indoor navigation, wayfinding. Excuse me. One of our partners at Pointer powers that part of it and works with a lot of the sort of indoor navigation parts. But check it out.
Very good to know.
All right. Well, that's our 4 stories for this week. Thank you for listening and watching. This has been episode number 648 of Location Weekly. Please reach out to us if you have story ideas, if you want to get involved. Obviously, if you're going to be at NRF or CES, come find us. And we'll see you next week with another show. Thanks.